Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here, and I am back for another PC accessible game, kind of an early access video, but also a Kickstarted video. I just learned of this game via Twitter this morning as I'm recording this. Probably going to release this as a bonus video here in the next couple of days, not quite sure when. But I wanted to bring your guys' attention to a game that is currently in a Kickstarter campaign right now. And I want to get it to you guys as soon as I can during the Kickstarter campaign so that you guys have time to save up and back the game should you choose to do so. We are looking at a game called Scarlet Shells, and it is a 2D action game, kind of a brawler, platformer kind of a thing. I've played about 5 minutes of it, if that, just to make sure that it worked and everything. I'll leave a link in the description below to their Kickstarter page and the audiogames.net thread where I found all the information about the game. Or actually, I'll just put it to their website too. I'll just try to put all those links there for you guys to check those out. So check the description if you want to look more into this and try the demo for yourselves. But like I said, this is I think you can use it with your screen reader, but I just did it with the self-voicing. It's using regular old TTS. I did read the README file to get an idea of the keys. Yeah, like I said, it's a 2D action kind of brawler platformer sort of a thing. And one thing, with the controls, it seems pretty standard. I've played a few games that are similar to it in its keyboard bindings. With audio games, the one thing that I find that is sort of weird, and I understand where it comes from, but like using the up arrow for jumping, it makes sense from like, oh, up to jump. Like from a conceptual standpoint, it makes sense, but like literally probably 95% of like mainstream games will use like a separate button for jump, all the way back to like the Super Mario Brothers days, or even the Atari games, like I remember playing Pitfall or the original Mario Brothers, those kinds of things. Like, especially if they do add controller support later on, you want to have your jump button separate from your D-pad or analog stick support, because there were a few games like on the old NES where some developers did use the up as jump, and I really it doesn't work really that well. That would be my one sort of comment about the control bindings for now. But let's jump right in. I just downloaded the game from their webpage. It's very small, so it won't take you very long to download at all.
Main menu. Start new game.
And right now we have
Continue last game. Exit.
And that's it. Those three
Continue
options.
last
There's not
game.
really a learn game sounds. There's not a options menu right now.
Start new
That's
game.
what you got. But like I said, this is a very early demo, so I would expect that to change over time. That's not a complaint. That's just an observation.
Start new game.
But let's just do a start new game so you guys can hear it from the beginning. There's a lot of actual narration, text-to-speech, like story in here. So I don't know if they plan on adding voice acting or something like that later on. I did skip a lot of it when I was just testing the game, but we are going to listen to it now so we do get the story. I wanted to wait until I actually did the video before we...
Start new game.
So we could all get more of the gist of the story together. So let's go.
Hello, and welcome to Scarlet Shells. Press enter to continue.
Okay.
The introductory story text can be an overload for some. Others still might not care for story in general.
Depends. So one thing that I do like is that the text doesn't auto-advance. You can kind of go chunk at a time.
In either case, I highly recommend you pay attention at least during the tutorial stage.
Agreed.
There are some important things you might miss if you don't.
Okay,
With that out of the way, I will now allow you to proceed into the game.
you do that. All
Good
right,
luck,
here we
and have
go.
fun.
Will do.
Sometime during the early morning hours, the sun had just begun to rise. The room was dimly illuminated through the curtains, casting the occasional shadow. The clock had just barely registered 5:30, Dahlia was still sleeping, tucked safely and comfortably under a blanket.
And that is who we are going to play, this Dahlia lady. Cool name. Okay.
The phone on her nightstand rang, causing her to wake with quite a jolt. She blinked around in slight confusion for a second, then, realizing what it was, glanced at the phone.
I think it would be really neat to have like the text to speech for narration, and actually once it's the actual character dialogue, I'd love to almost hear some voice actors. I can just almost picture this as like a audio comic in my head, and it would be really really cool.
Hello. She answered groggily. Dahlia blinked her eyes as they clearly struggled to remain open in her current state. I'm sorry for calling you this early, a man on the other end of the line began.
Yeah, I can just hear like this, like almost like an audio drama, and then you wouldn't necessarily need some of the like, she said groggily or whatever. You could just like hello. It'd just be a cool. I know it adds expense and time and everything, but I'm just thinking it would be really really cool.
No, it's fine, she managed. We need you to come down to our office as soon as you can. There's a matter we need to discuss with you.
Okay, who are you and what do you want?
Dahlia frowned, though her curious mind wanted more details. Classified until arrival, the man replied sternly,
Mm-hmm.
causing her to screw up her eyes in annoyance. Please drive safely.
Okay.
Dahlia thought about what had just been said and rubbed her eyes slightly. For the love of, it's barely 5:30.
Way too early for me.
She stretched and struggled to wake up. She then neatly curled herself and jumped, preparing to land on all fours, then sprang to her feet, a surefire way to get things moving.
Okay. See, I didn't even listen to all that. I just kind of zipped through it. So, okay, now we're getting this set up.
This
Okay.
had better be good, she managed, washing her hands and gently splashing water on her face. Through the window of the bathroom, she could see traffic moving, no doubt heading to work this early. The morning otherwise was calm, except for a slightly annoyed Dahlia. She managed to make herself at least semi-presentable to the world before the clock hit 6:15. A quick change of clothing later, she was headed out to her car, hoping she could even stay awake for the hour and 45-minute drive.
Ooh, that's a long drive. Heck of a commute.
It took 2 hours, 25 minutes,
Ew.
several heavy traffic jams, and 2 shots of coffee to get her to the guard gates and eventually.
Okay, and then it just cuts off. Okay, that's an interesting cut off there. Okay, we're in our car. Yeah, I can't help but think with actual human dialogue, this would be really cool. Because I like the way they're doing the story so far.
Dahlia parked her car under the 3-car garage guarded by security and found her way into those familiar doors. As she ascended the steps, she could faintly hear him wondering where she was.
Okay.
Sorry I'm late, I said, closing the door behind me.
Okay, so now we're going from kind of an overview narrator to like a first person shift here. Okay.
There you are. If you would, head over to meeting room 8. I'll meet you there. I moved off in the direction of the meeting rooms and began to worry about everything. I was hardly ever called in this early for anything at all.
I almost wonder if even with the way that it was narrated, or that it was described in the beginning there, I almost wonder like if they should kind of either pick like a first person or third person instead of switching back and forth. You could tell this through, just her first person perspective, rather than she, Dahlia did this, it's like, oh, my name is Dahlia, and the blah, blah, blah. You could do it all first person. I'm almost picturing what I'm thinking of actually is like an audio version of like the cutscenes that you would get from Max Payne, where he narrated things and then you would hear, yeah, I mean, it would just, I'm kind of getting that vibe, which is not a bad thing.
A few minutes that felt more like hours of waiting later, Montoro arrived, tall steaming mug of coffee in hand. He took a seat behind the desk and set down his briefcase.
Okay, so am I a cop, an agent? Montoro is probably my boss, I would assume.
I applaud you for stepping up to the plate so early, he began, opening his briefcase. Okay, here's what we got going on.
Yeah, if you listen to like a playthrough of Max Payne and just the way they do their cutscenes before and after levels, even interspliced in the middle of levels sometimes, I could see that working really well, especially in like an purely audio game. I think it would be really, really neat.
You agreed to put an end to these abductions we've been witnessing. As
Oh,
such, I believe now is a good time to go over some details with you, before you set foot on his property.
okay. Abductions.
He withdrew a few photographs out from his briefcase, closing it as I began looking them over. My gaze froze when I recognized Gabriella in this lineup.
Okay, Gabriella must be somebody important to her.
The night she went missing is something that stuck with me for the last 12 months.
Ah,
God, I still miss her so much.
who, sister? Friend? I don't know.
To see her here was not what I was prepared for. I felt so angry with myself for allowing this to happen. There could have been so many ways to avoid this.
Okay.
Perhaps I could have asked her to stay at my place.
I should have switched my text to speech to a female voice for this game.
Or perhaps we could have gone somewhere, like we usually did Thursday nights. We always looked forward to those days when we could be good friends, and not business partners.
Okay.
Levi met my gaze as I looked up some time later. He sighed and took another sip of his coffee as I looked at the next batch of photographs.
Okay, so yeah, there's a little bit of you can piece it together, but like, first they called him what is it, Montoyo, and now she's calling him Levi. Um, without really setting him up, but okay, now we know his name is Levi Montoro.
I almost couldn't believe my eyes when I discovered the youngest one here was barely even 9.
Ooh,
He
that
was the
sucks.
only one abducted with any kind of apparent motive. Who the hell holds a 9-year-old as ransom? I pondered half to myself, trying not to lose it as I looked through the photos of everyone involved.
Okay.
Levi reached into his briefcase and handed me one photo he had evidently kept away from me until now.
And it is?
This guy right here. David Padley. He gave me a few seconds to look his last known mugshot over before continuing. And thanks to modern satellite imagery, we've got his complex pretty well mapped out. He produced a map and started to talk me through the various facilities. This right here, he said, pointing at a somewhat pixelated building, that's where he keeps his captured. But of course, he keeps it well guarded. Right about here, he indicated to a narrow road on which were towers on either side of it, is where the complex actually begins.
Okay.
We're not having you go through there. Instead, we're having you enter through the west end. Where he was indicating looked like nothing more than a field. We have never once seen guards or any kind of defense there in the 6 months we've been keeping watch. His trucks do occasionally pass through there, though nothing else. We believe it's the safest way in. Now that you know where the prison complex is, the plan should be pretty simple. You go in there, undetected if possible, breach the prison complex since it's more than likely sealed to outsiders, grab as many of the victims as possible and bring them back. You make it sound so goddamn easy, I laughed, knowing well this would more than likely not go to plan. These things hardly ever do. You've not let us down yet, Dahlia. With that said, we have authorized Alexis, plus 2 additional crew members you will meet in the coming days, to join this mission.
Okay.
They are not to be spotted, under any circumstance. They will remain at camp while you bring the victims out. It is of the highest priority to remain undetected.
If by undetected you mean me beating the crap out of everybody, sure.
Levi handed me a sealed packet with her name on it as he stood up. If you'll excuse me, I gotta go and discuss this whole thing one last time with my team before you start your mission. We both walked out and parted ways, me towards the elevator and him towards a section of the building I've never been allowed in.
All right. I like the premise. I like the setup. Just enough sort of intrigue. All right. So we are... Okay, we're driving again. Somewhere.
What the hell?
I like the sound effects. Kind of the interior sound. You got, sounds like some windshield wipers going on or something. Or I'm not quite sure what that is, yeah, but... Long intro, though. Even for the... Like, you can tell they're really starting to flesh this out, even in its early form. At least, like, the story. It seems like they have a pretty good idea of what they want to set up. I'm curious to see how the gameplay holds up. Okay, am I supposed to hit something, I wonder?
As I turned towards my
because you said,
street,
what the hell, okay.
I noticed something disturbing.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what the heck? Alright.
It looked like a group of boys all grouped close together, holding down somebody on the ground. A few feet away was a young girl that looked to be in her early 20s trying to get them off him.
Trying to get them off her. I think there was another one where toward the end of their conversation at the station there, where it was a him instead of a her. There's a couple little grammatical things there.
The thing that enraged me the quickest was how few bystanders were helping, compared to how many were standing there filming the entire incident as it happened.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Part of me really didn't want to bother with this, and then my thoughts wandered to Gabriella, when she got mugged in a similar method. I had no idea what this was about, further adding to my uncertainty.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if this were like actually narrated, and like I said, just this whole almost like a noir kind of a thing. I could see that working really well. Okay, I think now we're going to get into our beating everyone up.
I could hear the girl pleading with the boys to let him go. Very quickly, I was able to determine this was a mugging gone a bit more public than they had probably anticipated.
So yeah, to let him go. No, that would be to let her go because it's a lady. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I've noticed that I think 3 times so far in different places.
As I made my way towards the crowd, I could hear them yelling at the boys to knock it off. I flagged down a tall, skinny gray-haired male as the boys continued. That's my dad. And the girl over there is my sister. He indicated the man on the ground, and the girl still pleading.
Oh, wait. So is she captured and then her dad is captured too?
We gave them everything they asked F for.
I must have missed.
They wanted more.
Something, okay.
He looked about 3 seconds from fainting, as any sane person would after seeing their own father they loved subjected to this.
Okay. Oh, see, I thought the girl was getting beat up. Okay, so she's trying to save her dad. Okay.
When I heard the man gasping for air, I knew it was time to put an end to this.
All right, let's kick some ass.
I made my way through the crowd and stood beside the girl as the boys showed no signs of stopping. One of them turned to look at me as I got closer.
All right, Dahlia.
Stay the fuck out of this, got it? His accent was so thick I could just about make out what he was saying. One of the boys stood up and walked towards me. This ain't your business. The boy's weak left hand was easy to avoid, annoying him. Some of the boys noticed him struggling to land a hit. Eventually, one by one, they abandoned the old man in favor of their new target.
Me.
Brother and sister
all
rushed
right.
in past them all attacking me now, to rush the old man to safety. Most of them were easy to wear out, although some of the more stronger ones would prove to be an interesting fight. Press
all right.
the space bar
here
to
we go.
attack, and the left-right arrows to move. Holding Control plus either arrow causes Dahlia to run.
Okay.
Hold G plus any of the 4 arrows to discover what tiles are around you, and D brings up an object viewer. Pressing up arrow causes Dahlia to jump. While in a running jump, press space bar to kick.
Okay.
During gameplay, you may press the tab key to bring up the pause menu.
Okay, we're fighting now. Here we go. Okay, I hear people on either side of me.
Tip.
Oh, what? What about a tip?
Dahlia can build up her rage meter by timing her punches at regular intervals.
Okay. Yeah, this is a unique aspect, and this could be a really cool thing if they get like a rage meter and like a combo system kind of going on. Maybe light and heavy attacks. Rather than just having a attack, a lot of these brawlers, even back in the day, they would have a punch and a kick, or a light and a heavy attack. And then if you have different timings, you know, punch, punch, kick, punch, you know, and different timings of them to do different combos, that could mix up the variety some.
It takes approximately 6 or 7 punches for the meter to reach full potential. When it does, Dahlia will become partially invincible for a short period of time.
Okay.
It is possible to continuously add to this timeout by repeatedly building up her meter. As well as this, Dahlia will also gain small amounts towards her attack and defense stat automatically.
Okay.
The act of building up the meter would sound like the following.
Okay, they're going to give us an audio demo. Very cool. Okay, one. So that's
After
pretty
this
slow.
point, Dahlia will remain partially invincible for a short amount of time. When her invincibility timer reaches 0, you will hear this sound, at which point there is a 1 to 3 second timeout in which Dahlia cannot gain invincibility.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Once again, I will repeat the example. If you don't need it, press Shift plus Enter to close this chapter.
So that's pretty slow. That almost could be a little bit faster. Alright, so... Here we come. I feel like I don't want to go too slow because then I'm just going to get hit. We'll be trading blows. So I hear a lot coming from my right so far. Yeah, see, I feel like I'm doing it too slow because I'm getting hit in between my pauses. If I do it like they did in the tutorial... I can hit page up and page down to turn the volume up and down of the music, which I turned down 1 or 2 notches just so you could hear the effects a little better. I can hit H once I get a break here for a sec.
82%.
Okay, 82%
No
health. Let's go
effects.
back a ways. I'm trying to do it fairly rhythmically. I think there could be, like, for the rage meter, maybe there could be, like, another, if you're doing it successfully, some sort of, like, an ascending dun-dun-dun. If you look up The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, and when you do combat, especially in certain levels of dungeons, they had a really cool thing where, like, every successful attack you landed, it would kind of do... You would hear the sword slashes, but you would also hear the, you know, again, like in kind of ascending tone. It was almost like a musical thing, especially in the... Like, in a dungeon you had that, but then there was this training area in the first village where you were practicing your dodges and your attacks and stuff, and that one was really cool because it just had this really neat like ascending rhythmic tone to it. Because right now I just hear like a bunch of punches and stuff, and you know, if I were visually looking at this, because there are no graphics here, but in a beat 'em up I can see when I'm getting hit and when they're getting hit. All I hear is just the same sound effects over and over.
By the time I was done dealing with reps from some teenage gang I had never heard of before, the man was already being transported to the hospital.
So especially, like, I kind of jumped away a couple of times simply because, you know, all you were hearing was just a lot of the same sound effects. You know, that's all you were hearing. And sometimes you would hear her, you know, ow, you know, you would kind of hear her getting hurt. But especially if there are a lot of enemies around, it can get a little bit muddy as far as, like, what is actually going on. There's just sound effects everywhere. And so being able to clearly, you know, again, if I was looking at if I was playing Double Dragon or Final Fight, I can easily see how many people are around me. You know, it'd be nice if they really supported binaural audio in here instead of just stereo, or, you know, just really, even if you're just using stereo, you know, really having something for the soundscape so that, you know, I can tell how far in the left-right soundscape people are away from me. You know, as they get closer to the middle, they maybe get louder, or, you know, just the panning is really good. But there's potential here. Absolutely.
As it turned out, they had mugged the wrong person. A shame what happens when you are at the wrong place at the wrong time. Although he would survive, it was likely he would never be the same after this.
Yeah.
After speaking to them about this for a few minutes, I said my goodbyes to his wife and grandson and made my way home.
Okay.
Blue Star Park seemed oddly quiet this time of day. Sure, maybe some of the neighborhood kids weren't early risers, though it was well past sunrise.
Oh, right, because she left so early, okay.
It'd been a while since I'd had a picnic, let alone here. As I ate, I began to reflect on all that had happened in the last 6 months. Most of those who meant most to me were gone. My mind rested on Joni for a while. Too young, strong-willed, and smart for probably her own good. Her life was cut tragically short just 2 months ago from lung cancer. God, I miss her so much.
Sounds like an ambulance. I think that's what that's supposed to be.
My thoughts were interrupted by something rubbing up against me. Oh.
Kitty, maybe. Yay!
A cute little kitten, about 5 months old, was rubbing against my right leg under the table. She was actually a park staple. Nearly everybody who visited Blue Star stood a chance to see her.
I like cats.
With my encouragement, she gingerly climbed up onto my lap and remained there for a while. I would give her the occasional scrap I felt was saved for her, which she seemed to enjoy immensely.
There's a lot of story here.
After a while she climbed down and ran off to do whatever she does, probably go after squirrels. I had just finished putting everything up when a tall, slender woman came running at me and exclaimed, "Hey Dahlia girl!" and tackling me.
Okay.
"Hello to you too, Lex," I managed after catching my breath. She knows I prefer when people don't jump me, but for her I try to make an exception. Sorry, yai, she half whined, gingerly lowering me onto my feet. We moved over to one of the park benches and sat down.
So that was our tutorial level that we just beat. I want to get to at least one more level before we wrap up. I think he said there are 3 levels in this build. I don't know if that's 3 full levels and the tutorial thing that we just did.
Looks like you had a picnic.
But
Alex looked up at me with half her eyes. Why didn't you wait for me?
Admittedly, I'm kind of getting sucked into the story. It's not bad so far.
I came here way earlier. I wasn't sure if you were busy. I'm sorry. Here.
Good music, too.
I opened up my containers of cold cuts and she fetched the bread. I myself was already full, though I made a sandwich. This stuff would probably go bad later on anyway. We talked and we laughed, as 2 longtime friends would for what felt like hours. Honestly, I kept finding myself wishing for nothing more than to stay right here, but I knew there were things that needed to be discussed and dealt with. I reached into my bag and dug out the stack of papers I had brought with me for that purpose. Handing them to her, I began to discuss what Levi and I had spoken about yesterday. "So what's this?" she asked. "A map of the complex? Looks vague, kind of blurry, and looks like it's been taken from high up."
Okay, so she must be... I don't know if you're, like I said, if you're cops or agents or what, but she must be another one?
Seems so. I can't really get that great a view of much based on the picture there. "And I'm going with you, right?" Indeed, while the lady had accompanied me in most of my tasks, this would be one of the few exceptions where I'd have to leave her behind. "No, I have to go this alone. Don't want to risk being found." Alex froze and grew slightly agitated when she reached David's criminal history. "Why yes, but, look at this." She pointed to an area of the report I missed during my evaluation. I grew slightly nervous myself now as I read it. "Dahlia, are you sure this is a good idea?" she finally managed after a while.
I really want to skip to the next level so we can get to some gameplay in this video, but like I said, I'm kind of digging the story so far.
"Nope. But it's what we've gotta do to get this guy either off the streets or off the earth." Alex quietly began to drum her fingers on her lap, trying to hide her nerves from the woman not 3 feet away. Whatever you say, Dahlia. So we're supposed to leave tomorrow? 6:30 sharp, we gotta be outta here to get there no later than 9. Then, we take a plane to cover the 6,000-mile journey. From then on we'll cover 700 or some miles by car, and the rest will be covered by one of our electric buggies. But wait, why 15 miles out? Do you realize that's quite a walk for anybody that may still be in there? The plan's actually been revised to be 4 miles. Levi wasn't happy with that, but you know the guy. Alex did, of course. Alex handed her the papers and Dahlia placed them back into her small briefcase. I'll go with you, just know I'm not letting you go alone willingly, okay?
Yeah,
Alex stood up and lifted the much smaller girl up into a tight embrace.
Yeah, so there's kind of this tonal shift here. It almost like it was starting out where it was like, oh, I sat down for the picnic, I did this, and now we've kind of made this shift again. Alex did this, Dahlia did that. I think you really want to kind of stick with, if you want to tell everything from Alex or from Dahlia's first person point of view, and I said if you're doing this whole sort of like noir narration type of thing, I think that would absolutely work. But shifting back and forth, I don't know, unless it's, a scene where, you're giving some background and you're seeing some, like, let's say 2 enemies dialogue or something, then you can go third person. But any scene with the main character, you would want to stick to, I think, either third or first person. I would be okay with either, but again, I think if you went the whole noir kind of a thing, I think first person would work quite well.
I'll be okay, Dahlia managed after a few seconds. We've known each other for years. I'll pull this off, I promise. I'll be watching out for you in whatever way I can.
Let's go!
Dahlia met her gaze.
Oops.
Oh, stop worrying. The fun hasn't even started. The 2 girls shared a laugh at that.
Okay. Now, this is not just melee. There are ranged weapons. I guess there are pistols and, like,
Later on,
machine guns or whatever.
Night, sitting at my back porch.
Wow. There's a lot of story here.
This is really it. There's really a chance I may never come back. There's a chance I may come up short and get several innocent victims killed.
I kind of want to just move on because I want to show you guys more gameplay, and I want to know more about the gameplay variety. You know what? Screw it. I think I'm going to try to do that. Yep, I'm going to skip because
early the next morning,
I want you guys to be interested in this game. If I spell it all out for you, then maybe you won't play the demo or be potentially interested in kickstarting it yourself. So you know what? Let's see where we are now. Do we get to fight, or what kind of scene are we in here? Okay, we're driving again. Pulled up somewhere. Good audio work. I can definitely see backing this because it's clear there.
There you are. Montoro and 2 other people were standing nearby. We'll be in meeting room 5.
Skipping it. Again, I'll go back and look at this later, but
4:30 had come and gone way earlier than expected.
Nope, we're skipping it all. We're going to get to the next level because there's a lot of story here.
Standing here well past the entrance, I couldn't believe just how massive this place was.
Okay, so I don't really have the context as to where we are, but that's okay.
Thoughts of Levi's briefing came to mind as I gazed in amazement. His complex is so big it may as well be its own city.
Okay, so we are at the complex.
Oh shit.
Dudes are coming. Okay.
I was so distracted, I didn't even see the guard as he began to walk towards me.
Of course.
This entire place was wide open, there was nowhere good for me to hide.
Kick his ass.
Excuse me, little missy, you've got 3 seconds to leave. He grasped my arm hard and began forcing me backward. He let go, struggling to stay upright. All of a sudden, at least a dozen guards came
All
at
right,
us
now
in a
it's
run,
on. Here we
surrounding
go.
me and helping the first guard recompose himself. Well, so much for remaining undetected.
Yeah, that's what I thought
I
was going
had
to
already
happen.
foolishly challenged one of the guards with violence, as such negotiating was pretty much out.
Yep, pretty much. That's kind of what I was thinking.
At this point, there was little reason to go quietly.
Hell yeah. Oh, okay, we got gunners here. I don't think we can... It might be interesting if you could crouch to kind of duck under the fire. Like if you hear a ch-ch and then you... Okay, hold on. There's a lot going on here. I like the music. Okay, I'm getting my ass kicked here. So... I don't hear my own footsteps here. So I'm hitting a spacebar to attack. Did I die?
After dealing with the initial guards, I found myself in a field.
No, I'm...
Scoping around,
Okay.
I could see a few buildings off in the distance, as well as the now vacant snipe towers. I was in pretty rough shape, but I would survive, for a while at least. The journey there would be a hellish one from the... Putting my scope away, I realized there was an explosive device a few paces from where I stood. Clearly the person responsible for planting it didn't care if it was visible. I readied myself as the enemy neared.
Okay, are we going to play again? Yeah, see, I'm hitting him regularly, but I'm not getting any feedback. I'm just hearing, I'll hit faster here. I don't know if I'm doing damage to him. I'm gonna grab this. Let me jump over here. The sound, like the footsteps, or it's a little hard to tell. Like, everything is sort of... I mean, I can hear when I land. It's a thump. There's just something missing with the audio feedback. It just sounds like chaos to me. See, I just hear a bunch of punching and kicking and...
46%.
46%
no
health. You can't even really tell where they are until you start getting, you know, I'm jumping left and right here. And every time I land, there's a guy. But I don't hear them until I'm getting pummeled. Like, there's just not... You know, if I could see visually, I would be able to know, okay, there's a guy here, there's a guy there. And I think I died.
Enter when ready.
So...
4.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love where the story and the setup and everything is good, but I think there just needs to be more, like, variety and more actual audio cues. Like, everything is just sort of layered at the same level on top of each other, and in that level, I just, you know, it kind of felt... flat in the way that, you know, it was just no matter where I was. And I didn't really have, as I was jumping left and right, I didn't have any context as to, like, oh, okay, if I jump to the left, are there guys over there? I couldn't really tell. But then when I land, immediately I would hear myself getting pummeled. So, I mean, granted, this is early, so it can definitely be improved. They've got a good thing with the story, but I think they need to, have more. I don't know if subtlety is the right word, but like, better panning, better like layering, better like just being able to really tell what's going on in the playable environment. I've had similar complaints with other games where I don't really know that something is happening until I'm getting hit. And if I want to avoid damage, I want to know that and have the chance to avoid it more easily than being, oh, I'm hit, I guess I should counterattack now. Let's try it again really quick. Where does it start us? Okay, so there's the bomb, or whatever. And I don't know the timing. See, I'm hitting him in a rhythm, but
97%, no status effects.
See, I'm just sitting here. I don't know if there's guys, but I'm not really getting a lot of feedback. All I hear is punches and some kind of... I can tell I'm getting hurt some.
92%.
Yeah, 92.
No status effects.
I'm going to run all the way to the left as far as I can. See, there's a guy, but... Okay. You can you couldn't really hear him coming from the left. And it sounds like you're getting hurt. See, if I do it too slowly to try to build the combo, I can hear myself getting hurt. Like...
84%, no status effects.
Oh, wait. Oh, was that on...
when ready.
So was that on a timer? Was I supposed to just grab... I wonder if I was just supposed to go and hit enter instead of killing them. Maybe those guys just infinitely come and you have to... Let me try something here. Yeah, let me go. Okay. No, we're gonna run. Oh, so if I run
Enter when ready.
Okay, so if I run into it, I die, I think. Because I was trying to, like, oh, maybe I can go up to it and, like, try to disarm it or something. I'm just not quite entirely clear. And one thing I should also mention here is that the movement is momentum based. It's not just a hard, like, you hit left, you hit right, you move, you stop. Their whole thing is like, oh, if you jump into the right, you land and then you take a step or two, because that's sort of like when you run or when you jump and things, that's sort of how it happens. So I want to stay away from that beeping, because I think that's what triggered it. And I'm kind of fighting.
Springfield Armory 1911 PRP.
Yeah, let's shoot some dudes. Anybody else want some? Okay, so I didn't know I had a gun. Shit. Oh, was I supposed to jump that?
Enter when ready.
I don't quite... I feel like I'm not quite being told enough in context.
Springfield Armory 1911 PRP.
What I'm supposed to do. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna... Okay, yep, jump over it. Okay, I shot a guy by accident. You want some of this? Now I'm probably out of ammo.
Melee.
Oh, come on. The melee combat just, it feels sort of like random. There doesn't seem to be a good... I can't get the timing down for the rage meter. And look at this. All I hear is... It's just all at one level. Like, I don't feel... If I'm killing anyone, it feels more like luck than skill. It feels more like luck than skill. I don't necessarily feel like I have good... like a good control. Okay, well I killed him. How much health do I have?
39%.
Oh yeah, we're almost dead.
Status effects.
See, if I do it too much slower, I don't know how to do the rage. I'd love invincibility. If you guys would just go away for 2 seconds, actually 15, you can regain health if you don't get hit for a while, but...
26%.
I'm so screwed.
No status
They just keep
effects.
coming. Yeah, it feels too chaotic. Like there's too many guys, or it just... I feel like it's more luck than anything. Like I'm not... I know what the controls are, but every time I jump, I'm landing in the middle of a group of enemies, and I don't really know that. See, I mean, I hear them pummeling me,
Enter
but there's
when
no
ready.
indication like, oh,
0.
there's a group of guys off to the left, there's guys more to the left, there's guys to the right, further to the right. The combat itself, like, I'm totally fine. I love classic beat-em-ups. You know, whether you can move up and down on a 2D plane like Final Fight, Double Dragon, the Ninja Turtles games, or, you know, ones where it's strictly on a 2D plane, you know, like, I mean, even something like Castlevania, where you don't move up and down, you just move left to right, and then... So, I like where the story is going. I'm totally fine with it being like a combat, you know, melee and ranged. I think that you should be able to, like, duck under... Oh, think of a game like Rolling Thunder on the NES. That was one where you could just move left and right. You could shoot. It wasn't really melee. I mean, if you were in melee, you were in trouble. But you move left and right, and when the enemies, you could kind of, you know, visually you would see it, but you'd have to have some sort of audio cue where you could duck under the bullets if they were shooting you. But I just feel like the gameplay itself, it just feels too chaotic. I don't feel like, yes, I know the controls, but I don't feel like I can get into a good rhythm, or that I really know where and how many enemies are on the screen. Because no matter where I jumped to, it seemed like there were just guys. And the only reason that I kept knowing that is the moment I landed, I was being pummeled. So, I mean, it has potential. It is early. I definitely want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I am probably going to back this game. Because, you know, I said I'm going to look at... I haven't looked at their Kickstarter page yet, but I know that it's there. And now that I've played it a ways, like I said, in the story... I think they've got a pretty good thing going. I mean, they have we skipped a bit of the story even because there was so much of it. But, you know, they've got a good premise. But I think, you know, again, I've played a few of these side-scrolling audio games where they're neat in theory, but the gameplay just doesn't really match up to... you know, how like a mainstream game would feel. Again, this is early, so I can't, say too much. But even fully released games, there's just something that kind of feels a little bit either off or simplistic. Like I can't quite get as much information as I feel like I need. But I like what's here. I like the combination of melee and ranged combat. It's momentum based. You have that sort of thing for jumping over things. I figured that out finally. Again, the story I think is really what sets this one apart from a lot of other audio games where it's just, here, go to one level, another level. There might be a very short story snippet. I was actually kind of intrigued where the story was going to go and what was going to happen, learn more about the characters. So I said there is potential here, and I definitely want to give the devs a benefit of the doubt here. So, yeah, that is, oops, let me see. Did the game close? I don't even see it here. I just want to see something. Okay. Oh, never mind. Okay. So it's just gonna... Okay, let's tab
Pause
here.
menu.
So
select an option
Scarlet
and press
Shells.
Object overview.
It is a Kickstarter project currently in development because they need more funding to complete the game. I'm admittedly quite intrigued about it. I think where they need, the most work is probably in some of the gameplay tuning. But it has potential. It definitely does. So give the game a look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And like I said, I will put the links in the description of the video. So if you want to check out the audiogamesnet.net page, you want to check out their webpage and download this demo. If you want to back them on Kickstarter, support them so you have more audio games, do those types of stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. So we'll wrap it up here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, I will chat with you guys again in the next one. Later.